Day 743. Sunday, November 23. Luke 3 1-2 NKJV. Now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, Pontius Pilate being governor of Judea, Herod being tetrarch of Galilee, his brother Philip tetrarch of Iturea and the region of Trachonitis, and Lysanias tetrarch of Abilene, while Annas and Caiaphas were high priests, the word of God came to John the son of Zacharias in the wilderness. Daily Deep Dive, verse 1. We should notice Luke's incredible attention to details and titles that would be used by his Gentile readers to verify the accuracy of his account. This has all been verified as accurate historically. In our previous readings we saw Augustus Octavius was Caesar. Now he has been succeeded by Caesar Tiberius. Tiberius reigned from 14 to 37 AD. He was the Caesar during Jesus Christ's adult life. He was the adopted son of Augustus. In his early years he was a capable military commander, who reluctantly accepted the role of emperor and generally maintained the stability and structure Augustus had built. His reign was marked by administrative efficiency, expansion of the imperial treasury, and a cautious, often suspicious, leadership style. In the latter part of his rule, Tiberius withdrew from Rome to the island of Capri, which allowed corrupt officials to gain influence and create an atmosphere of fear and political intrigue. Tiberius's rule had an indirect but significant impact on Judea. As emperor, he continued Rome's overall strategy of maintaining order in the provinces while extracting taxes and affirming Roman authority. Under Tiberius, Judea governance shifted between Roman prefects and local rulers like Herod Antipas and Philip. One of his most consequential administrative decisions for Judea was confirming Pontius Pilate as prefect, which we will cover in the next paragraph. Overall, Tiberius's reign fostered a fragile stability. Rome kept peace through firm control, while Judea simmered with resentment, setting the stage for the volatile environment into which Jesus preached and was ultimately executed. Regarding the 15th year of Tiberius's reign, if we simply would add 15 to 14 AD, we come to around 29 AD. However, most commentaries I read assume this is counting from when he became joint emperor. Adam Clarke's commentary: this was the 15th of his principality and 13th of his monarchy, for he was 2 years joint emperor, previously to the death of Augustus. End quote. JFB commentary: reckoning from the period when he was admitted 3 years before Augustus's death to a share of the empire. End quote. This would place us around 27 AD, which lines us for Jesus to be executed in 31 AD. Pontius Pilate served as the Roman prefect governor of Judea from roughly 25 or 26 AD to about 35 or 36 AD. He was appointed by Emperor Tiberius. As a prefect he held military authority, oversaw tax collection, and maintained public order responsibilities that often brought him into conflict with the Jewish population. Historians portray Pilate as a harsh, inflexible ruler who struggled to understand or respect Jewish religious sensitivities. Early in his tenure he provoked outrage by bringing military standards bearing the emperor's image into Jerusalem, and later by using temple funds to build an aqueduct. When protests broke out, Pilate responded with force, further damaging his reputation. Yet at other times he showed a political caution that suggests he feared stirring unrest significant enough to draw rebuke from Rome. Pilate would oversee the trial of Jesus Christ. We'll see later in our reading that Pilate is caught between assessing that Jesus Christ was innocent, yet feeling the pressure of the Jewish people leaders, and fearing that releasing Jesus might look disloyal to Rome. The decision to crucify Jesus shows his inability to administer true justice and his political maneuvering. Herod Antipas was a son of Herod the Great and ruler of Galilee and Perea during the entire public ministry of Jesus. As a tetrarch, which Thayer says means ruler over a fourth part of a country, he governed a quarter of his father's former kingdom under Roman oversight. Antipas is known for his ambitious building projects, most notably the city of Tiberias on the Sea of Galilee, which was designed to strengthen his political standing and please Rome. In the New Testament, he appears as a shrewd but morally compromised leader. As we'll cover in more detail later, he arrested and ultimately executed John the Baptizer for challenging his unlawful marriage to Herodias. Though not as brutal as his father, Antipas exemplified the political maneuvering and spiritual blindness common among the Herodian rulers. His long reign shaped the social and political environment in which much of Jesus' teaching and miracles took place. Philip the Tetrarch, another son of Herod the Great, ruled the largely Gentile regions northeast of the Sea of Galilee: Iturea, Trachonitis, Batanea, and Auranitis. Unlike his brothers, Philip had a reputation for being a mild and just ruler, maintaining stability and treating his subjects with relative fairness. He promoted Greco-Roman culture through city building, especially in Caesarea Philippi, formerly Paneas, and Bethsaida Julius, yet he did so without provoking the intense Jewish resentment that marked other Herodian rulers. Though he appears only indirectly in the New Testament, his governance contributed to the broader political landscape surrounding Jesus' ministry and the early movement. Philip's peaceful administration stands in contrast to the turmoil found in Judea and Galilee. Lysanias of Abilene is the most obscure of the rulers listed in Luke 3:1. His territory, Abilene, lay northwest of Damascus in the mountain region. For many years critics claimed Luke made a mistake here since an earlier Lysanias, executed around 36 BC, is mentioned in historical sources. However, inscriptions discovered near Abila confirm that a later Lysanias, or a descendant bearing the same name, ruled as tetrarch during the early 1st century. A.D. Luke's reference shows that the gospel writer was attentive to the political realities of the time. Naming Lysanias underscores Luke's objective to anchor the ministries of John the Baptizer and Jesus Christ in precise historical context. Verse 2. When we look in the Old Testament, we only ever see that God made one person high priest. In all instances we see that God establishes one individual and transfers that responsibility to one individual. Additionally, we see the term used in the Hebrew is always singular. Compare Exodus 28:1, Leviticus 16:1-2, 32-34, Numbers 20:25-28. Joshua 26 shows this appointment was until death. Additionally, we see only one ephod to be worn, Exodus 28 and 29. Only one person is allowed to enter the Holy of Holies, Leviticus 16:17, whenever more than one appears, for example, Abiathar and Zadok serving together. Only one is recognized by God as legitimate, while the other is a political appointment or an unofficial assistant. There is just no concept of CO high priests. So are there really two high priests at this time, Annas and Caiaphas, or is something else going on? We can see in history, almost 200 years before, around 175 BC, Antiochus IV Epiphanes openly sold the office to the highest bidder. This is explicitly recorded in 2 Maccabees 4:7-10, where it states, Jason the brother of Onias obtained the high priesthood by corrupt means, promising the king at an interview 360 talents of silver, and he further promised to pay 150 more if authority were given him. End quote. Later in 2 Maccabees 4:23-27, it details how Menelaus outbids Jason for the high priestly office, offering even more money to Antiochus IV. Jewish historian Josephus also records both of these in Antiquities 12.5.1-4. This marked the first time we can see that the high priesthood was purchased like other political offices. We also see that it went to men who were not of the priestly line. Later, approximately 63 BC, when Pompey conquered Judea, Rome took control of the priesthood. They began appointing high priests, removing them as they liked, and frequently appointing men loyal to Rome. All of this worked together to destroy the idea that the high priest was a divinely appointed position by God for life. As we move up to the time of Christ, we see Herod the Great removes and replaces the high priest at least 6 times. Rome installs Annas as high priest in 6 AD. And it seems that the high priest becomes the family business. There was a lot of money to be made associated with being the high priest, as they controlled the financial activity of the temple, with all the activities associated with selling animals for sacrifices, exchanging money, and charging exorbitant exchange rates. A big money business has been established at the temple by this time. Annas is described by historian Josephus as the most fortunate of men, enriched by the spoils of the people. After Annas, his son is high priest, followed by son-in-law Joseph Caiaphas, who holds the position from 18 to 36 AD. He would be followed by 4 more sons of Annas, and even a grandson. It stays in the family a long time, so when Luke 3:2 states that Annas and Caiaphas were high priests, it was known well that Caiaphas was the official high priest, but Annas, his father-in-law, was still a powerful force and still very influential, retaining much of his influence as the previous high priest, and seems may still be seen by the Jewish people at the time as who should still be high priest, not Caiaphas. Either way, this seems to be why Luke is listing both as high priests.